Hello everybody, it's Miss Taylor here to read you another instalment of Michael Morpurgo's Beowulf. If you haven't watched the previous video, I suggest you do because we have already met some crucial characters. So we've already met Grendel, the monster, and the excellent king Hrothgar, and he has built the mead hall Heorot to celebrate his greatness and that everybody is really happy at the time. And that's all you really need to know at the moment, so let's read the next bit. The night Grendel struck was the darkest night of all. He waited until Hrothgar had gone to his bed, until only the lords who nightly guarded Heorot were left. They were fast asleep when he pounced. He was upon them so suddenly and with such violence and fury that no one could escape the terrible slaughter. 30 lords he murdered in his bloodlust, as savage and swift in his death-dealing as a mad-Dane fox in a chicken hut. He left not one of them alive, but carried them off home to his lair to feast on their blooded corpses at his leisure. Only when day broke did Hrothgar and his warriors discover the dreadful evidence of the Holocaust at Heorot. Gone now were the laughter and the music. Hrothgar sat silent in his grief and despair. His warriors too mourned and lamented at the loss of their friends and brothers in arms. All were stunned at the merciless cruelty of this fatal fiend of the darkness. But the horrors were not yet over, for the next night Grendel came again, stalking over the foggy moors and down through the forests towards Heorot. The warriors had barricaded themselves in at this time. They believed they must be safe. They could not have known that against this hellish monster all such defences would be useless. In a frenzy of hate, Grendel burst in and slaughtered everyone he found there, gorging himself at will. He spared no one. From that night on, no one, not even Hrothgar, dared sleep again in Heorot. And so the great mead hall stood empty, and stayed empty. Grendel the monster now ruled in Denmark, a rule of terror that haunted Hrothgar and his people, wherever they lived, men, women, and children alike. For 12 long winters, Grendel warred unceasingly on the Danes, picking his blood victims at random, the innocent and sick too, children and newborn babies. He was utterly without mercy. Again and again he came to his killing ground, always unseen in the black of night. No plan Hrothgar and the council thanes devised could protect them from his fury. No prayers to the Almighty, no sacrifices to the ancient heathen gods. Anywhere he struck, any farmstead, any cottage, anywhere and everywhere, nothing could put an end to these ceaseless terror raids. A great and terrible grief darkened the land, banishing all happiness, all hope. Even the noble Hrothgar sat sunk in his sorrow, deep in his despair. The Danish king could see no reprieve from this hideous nightmare, visited so often upon his people by this fearful monster. By now the story of this dreadful tragedy, of the nightly suffering Hrothgar and his people were enduring, had spread far and wide. They had heard about it too across the water in the land of the king Hygelac of the Geats. For a long time faithful allies of the Danish kingdom, but only one of them, the greatest and bravest of all princes, Beowulf he was called, decided this evil beast of the night must be punished for all his wrongdoing, that Heorot must be cleansed of this wickedness, and Hrothgar and his people saved at last. even if Beowulf had to give his own life to achieve it. Do you think he will have to give his own life to achieve it? We've got a little clue there as to why the book is called Beowulf. And I imagine he's quite an important character. And while I was reading there, I noticed there's quite a lot of words that you might be unfamiliar with. So it would be great if you went away now and had a little look at what they mean, because it's a really good way to broaden your vocabulary. I'm just going to remind you of some of those that you might want to have a little look at, and then you can maybe even, if you're in 5T, send them across to me, or 5H, your definitions, that is. So enduring, I think you probably already know what that means if you're enduring something for a long time, but you might want to look that one up. And banishing, again, you've probably heard of, but if you haven't, there are thanes, and so his council thanes were devising plans with the king. Unceasingly, in 5T we definitely looked at the word cease, I'm pretty sure at some point, but you might have forgotten it. Gorging himself, you probably know that one. Stalking over the foggy moors, stalking. I reckon you can guess what that one means. There's a lot of alliteration as well. Fatal fiend. I can't see any now, but there was some. Frenzy. Holocaust. So that's how he described it when he saw all of the soldiers that had been left. Well, they weren't left, were they? When he saw the empty mead hall. That would be all of them. I like this simile here. As savage and swift in his death dealing as a mad Daned fox in a chicken hut. Now it uses like or as, so we know it's a simile, but that's a great comparison there. A mad Daned fox in a chicken hut. If you know what that means, let me know, have a think about it, and I will see you for the next installment.